we met, wasn't it? I was doing the teleservice in Berlin. Hold on a second. Did some, oh, good. Somebody hit record. I forgot. Okay. So I think we met. I was doing the COVID thing had just hit in 2020. And I used to do the teleservice in Berlin. And people would call after hours. And I'd answer the phone and looking for meetings and this and that. That's how we met, right? And
Yes.
Mary-Eileen called, yeah, yeah. Mary-Eileen called and she said, "Oh, do you guys have English speaking meetings?" And we were there. Yeah, we were there. I said, "Sure, we do." And anyway, I said, "Why don't you come along to our meeting that we're having with the Friendly Circle Berlin AA meeting?" That at the time we still have it every Sunday night, the beginners meeting. So Mary-Eileen came along, and she's just the sort of person I love to meet in AA. One of these people who's been around a long, long time and is just so sweet and loving and caring. And the sort of people that welcomed me to the program when I first came in, years ago in San Francisco. And I really got a great feel for Mary-Eileen and the way her and Richard still comes every Sunday and reads the preamble. Richard from Staten Island, and he's been around for about 50 years as well. And Mary-Eileen, you celebrated an amazing milestone recently, and I know that you got sober. Well, you're going to tell us. You're going to tell us. But I can't wait to hear you, Mary-Eileen. It's great to have you back tonight. So Wesley's going to set a 30-minute timer, and then over to you, Mary-Eileen. Thank you so much. It's so great to celebrate with you on Halloween. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, Patrick. So it's 30 minutes. And I know you're timing me. I just want to be able to, I'm not a control freak. I am Mary-Eileen and I am an alcoholic. What else am I? I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm a grateful member of Al-Anon. Um, I don't go to enough Al-Anon meetings, but and he was telling Patrick before the meeting that when I share, and in my, I guess, home group on Friday night where I go in person, the share is 10 minutes. You got 8 minutes, you got a 2-minute warning, and that's it. I often neglect sobriety. And they tell you, and it was actually said just before this meeting started by one of our friends in the room, it should be 80% sobriety and 20% drunkalog or whatever. And yeah, I tend not to do that. So I am Mary-Eileen. I am an alcoholic, and I'm going to start with where I came into the program. In 1975, I don't know who was president, Gerald Ford, I don't know. And I think we were deep in the Vietnam War. I don't know. I had just moved to New York City from London, from living in London, and I was working, but I drank every day, and I was in despair because I knew that every time I started to drink, I got drunk, and I was sitting in front of the television in 1975, watching a documentary on Chief Joseph. I always forget what he said. I have it up on my, oh, here it is. No, I don't have it up there. Anyway, Chief Joseph was the chief of a tribe that was decimated by the US cavalry. I don't know the whole story, but with America, you kind of get the story. It was genocide. And the cavalry was going after, and he and his warriors stopped and they fought, and then they would move on, and then the cavalry would come again. And so one day, Chief Joseph and I'm watching this documentary, probably drinking diet tonic water and gin. Yeah, I think that was what it was. And he made a treaty with the United States government. And in the treaty, he said, I will fight no more forever. Those were his words. And I remember sitting there watching this and looking at the glass in my hand, and I said, that's what I'm doing. I'm fighting and fighting and fighting this. I don't know. I don't seem to be doing a very good job fighting this. uh, I don't think AA was in my mind. My parents drank a lot. I'm a child of alcoholic parents, and my father owned a liquor store in this small town. So, boy, we had booze. We had booze. Um, and I remember going to St. Patrick's on Fifth Avenue one day and getting a brochure that said, "Is there an alcoholic in your family?" And I remember getting that, going, "Yes, my parents." And I don't know, sort of in my mind, um, fighting the alcohol. Had a calendar and I would write dry every day that I didn't drink. I write dry like it was some accomplishment. Not there weren't very many of them, and I some weird circumstances, a Weight Watchers meeting with a whiteboard that said something about an AA meeting there, and it was like a few days later from watching this documentary, I walked into an AA group that was two doors down on 90th Street in New York. Um, it was in the it was in the church hall of Our Lady of Good something or other, council, I think. And I sat there in the back and I listened, and the young woman speaking had just moved to New York from Paris, and she talked about the shenanigans she got up to in Paris, and I identified. And I listened to other people in the room, and I identified. And I started going to AA meetings. I went to AA meetings for about 2 weeks, and then some friends of mine in upstate New York said, "Oh, come on, let's get together. We haven't seen you in a while." So I took the train up, and I got drunk yet again. I had thought I learned in AA that, oh yes, we're careful. That's what we do. We're careful at AA. Just be careful. Don't drink too much. So yeah, so I got drunk on May 10th, 1975, and I was so miserable. I did the usual things. I threw up. I was miserably overhung the next day. And in upstate New York, it was Mother's Day. I was out in the country. I just wanted to get back to New York and go to sleep. And the next day, I went to an AA meeting. Well, May 11th, 1975 is the day I got sober. I was completely hungover, where your nails hurt, everything hurt, your hair hurts, everything hurts. And I went to a meeting on Monday night, uh, May 12th, 1975, and I've never left. People were I confessed I drank. I drank over the weekend. You think people are going to be disappointed with you, like you broke a diet, like you had some hot fudge sundae or something like that. They weren't upset with me. I remember this guy Paul and this woman Joan. They said, well, "Let's go out for a burger. Let's go out for coffee," and I did, and I've never left. And that's my story. And I've worked all the steps over and over and over again. See, so I'm starting with sobriety, so I don't I don't neglect sobriety. I often do. I'm so into the weeds with drinking. Um, and I've and I can't believe that all this time has gone by. But yes, that's what it does. If I stay sober, even if you don't stay sober, the time goes by. But I've had a much better life, I know, because I am sober than if I had continued drinking. Um, Gosh, my health is good. I got into a food program 24 and a half years ago and lost 65 pounds, and it's a strict one. And because of that, my health is good. You know, my health is good. People my age are they have a lot of health problems, and I don't. It's because I'm sober. I stopped smoking right after I stopped drinking, and I've cleaned up how I eat the food. The food's really clean now. So let's go back to childhood. Back in the 1820s, in upstate New York, my father owned a liquor store. He had just come back from fighting in World War II. And nowadays, I think they would say he had PTSD. But back then, it was like, we don't talk about it. That's it. We don't talk. Like, he didn't talk about it. And we all know in here what that does to you when you don't talk about it. He probably talked about it to my mother. And then they had four kids right away. And I think they were overwhelmed. And it was, somebody said it in a meeting that I was in last Friday. He said, an in-person meeting. He said, we were kids, and of course we weren't drinking, and we would look at them, and they were drinking, and we didn't like how they were, but we were stuck as kids. So I said to myself, I'll never be like them. My father, oh, he would get so angry, and I don't know. I was the whipping boy. I was the one he hit all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. He'd hit me. Ugh. And I just felt terrible all the time about being hit all the time. I'm getting sun in my face here. Um, it's a lovely, you know, Friday morning in Los Angeles here. Oh, I'm in Los Angeles. And so I hated that behavior. They would smoke, they would drink, they would fight, they would hit us. Sunday was the only day my father didn't work. Oh my God, we got hit so much. I got hit. Somehow I got hit the most. And so what I learned was, I guess, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist. I learned that that must be how you cope. You drink and you smoke and you hit people, yell at them, make them feel bad. So I said, I will never do that. I will never be somebody who's hits people as a bully, smokes, drinks, mean to other people, yell at them. As soon as I was old enough to be able to do it, I was a bully. I was a bully. I remember beating up my brother a lot, my older brother and his friends, and doesn't make you very popular. You know, if I got mad, I hold off and hit people. It's like that's what I learned. And then when I was 18, I was a good girl. People say, "Oh, I was drinking on the way to junior high." I'm like, "What?" Okay, fine. I wasn't. I just was the drinking age in New York was 18, and I waited till I was 18 before I smoked and I drank. And the very first time I drank, I got drunk and I threw up. And I threw up in my bed because I guess I was asleep. Um, but it made me feel something. It made me feel right. I was right. Somehow things straightened out and I was more okay drinking. And and I also was overweight. And I went to my doctor and he said he held up this pill. He said, "Well, these work for my wife. These might work for you." Oh yeah, they worked. And I was off to the races on speed. I know a lot of people today talk about speed as being something else. I don't know. What crystal meth and crack and I don't know, shooting it and this and that. No, I just took pills. I abused it right from the first prescription. They made me feel great for a few hours. Then a depression would hit me because you crash really bad uh from amphetamines. And then I learned to take all 30 of the prescriptions, 30 days worth of prescription. I learned to take them within 5 or 6 days, kind of staying up and oh, I thought it was helping me get stuff done. I went off to college. I thought it was helping me get stuff done. What it would help me to do is, let's say I was studying calculus or something. I never passed calculus. Um, I would sit down and study, and I think, the windows are dirty, but as soon as the windows are clean, I'm going to sit down and study. And then you say, you know what? If the group kitchen here in this dorm is just filthy, I am going to clean it and then I'll come back and study. Never did. It was all about being a flibberty gibbet all over the place. And I ended up taking speed for a few years because I didn't really drink that long. I was bad from the get-go. I was an alcoholic from the get. I was an alcoholic before I drank. Is that kosher to say that? I don't know. But I had all the I was I don't, if I ever tell you I was set up to be an alcoholic, I don't mean my parents set me up. I don't blame them for anything. I mean, I was a candidate. I I learned that's the way you do it. That's the way you behave in the world. Oh, by the way, my father was the life of the party. My father was so funny. He was like the mayor of Averill Park, New York, upstate New York, about 2.5 hours north of New York City. We're talking about cows and farms and lakes and streams and mountains, woods, ponds. But he, in the center of town, owned the liquor store, and people would come in and talk to him. And he was always the guy at the head of the parade when it was the VFW day or whatever it was. And and he just was generous. Oh my God, he helped people. He would be a volunteer firefighter out there fighting fires. He he was amazing. He was kind to people, but at home, I don't know. At home, he had a uh, a rage issue. You know, I was speaking at it wasn't even a recovery home. It was a rehab. What they called? You know, when you go in and you dry out and then you start working the steps. I think I've got to put my phone on do not disturb because I'm getting a lot of people asking me questions. Uh, of course, I just lost my train of thought. Blarf. I think I was saying I was set up to be an alcoholic. That I learned it from them. My father was the mayor of town just because he was well liked, you know, and even though I was a bully, I feel like I was well liked. I would find, you know, and I can still, by the way, I can still do this. I can walk into a room and look around and I can find the victim because I still have a bully inside of me. And I'm a little tempted. It's like when I'm around a victimy type of person, a little tempted to go there because it's like it's an old bad habit. You know, it's like they're just so much fun to pick on. Uh, God, it's awful to admit that, but they're, you know, they're gentle, kind people, and I was mean to them. Um, so I I guess I've started taking amphetamines, and then I went to I got accept. I had a. This is upstate New York. I had a scholarship to State University of New York at Albany. Did I go there? No, I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to Washington D.C. to go to Catholic University because my brother was at Georgetown in Washington. So I didn't take the scholarship. I went to Catholic University in Washington D.C. and I was fucking miserable. I can't stand these schools that have the Greek system. It's just I don't understand it. You know, when they put mustard in your eyes and stuff, I just don't get it. And I was miserable there. And I transferred to State University of New York at Albany after 2 years and you know, didn't have a scholarship anymore. Uh but I sure did drink. Somebody mentioned this in one of my meetings the other day that when they were in college they drank. Okay, because I think it's a Portuguese wine, I'm going to mispronounce it. We called it Matus. It could be Mateus. It could be something like that, but it was in a certain shaped bottle, and it was a sparkling uh, red wine or pink wine or something like that. And I loved that, smoking cigarettes, and that just continued. It just, you know, from the little bit of wine I'd have at night or something would just go more and more and more. After I graduated from college, I worked for a year. A typical day would be that I would wake up in the morning and take speed, and I'd go to work. It was a short day because it was like just a summer job. I was uh, I think it was a bank teller or something like that. And so it was a short day, and I would take the bus home from Albany. And when I get home, I'd start drinking beer, crack open the beers, and turn on Sesame Street. That was my favorite thing to do. Watch Sesame Street and drink beer. Except for the beer, I think I still would like to watch Sesame Street. I think it's great. Um, and my mother, who I think my mother and father were alcoholics. My mother, who drank, and she always started drinking around 4:30. She'd be in the other room and she'd hear the pop of the beer and she'd say, "Oh, you're not going to start that, are you?" You know, and when I was little, my mother would start drinking about 4:35. Her husband worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So uh, she just would start drinking about 4:30 or 5. But what she would do is when she would start drinking, even if she was preparing dinner, she'd take her glasses off. When I was a little kid, I misunderstood that because her personality would change. And sometimes when I was a little kid, I'd say, "Mommy, could you put your glasses back on?" I didn't understand that it wasn't taking off the glasses, it was starting to drink. And uh, yeah, so I would drink. And then after working for less than a year or something like that, I had been accepted into a school in London, the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And I went there for 3 years. It was heaven. It was heaven. It was all about drinking. It's like the if you're British, I beg your pardon. This is probably wrong, but it felt like the national pastime. I lived in London and but the pubs weren't open all the time. And that was annoying. So you had to make sure you went to, I don't even know if it's still there, odd bins and get your booze. Get your booze. Um, and and take it home and drink it. And I lived I shared a house with some people who also drank, so it was about drinking. There was never any homework for acting school. It's like, no. So anyway, it was great. I loved living there, and it was. Did I do my worst drinking there? No, because I moved to New York City after 3 years, and I got an apartment on the Upper East Side. But I knew that my people were down in the village, so I would take the train from the Upper East Side. It was a local, 42nd Street, and then 42nd Street, then go across 42nd Street, get on the local to the village, and get off at Christopher Street. The bar's there. That's where I wanted to drink. And so I would do that. I did that for the first couple, 3, 4 months. I don't know, months. I drank in the village, but I would get to a point where I would drink all my money. Like any money that I had with me, I drank it all. There certainly weren't credit cards back then. Um, or not for me. Not we're talking 1975, not for me. 1974. I guess I might have moved there in 74 and I got sober in 75. So you don't have to hear much more of this. Um, and I would get terribly drunk in the village. And then you know how that you have to take that local up to 42nd, and then you have to remember to get off at that 42nd and get that 42nd crosstown. And then you had to get that local up to 86th Street. But if you miss it and you end up at 96th Street or further up, it's like, oh, it's not so easy to cross over, go back down, and you're drunk, and it's not so hot. So I guess after a few weeks, I don't know how long it was, um, I started drinking in my neighborhood, and I found a guy that I don't know, we were like drinking buddies. Russell, still remember his name, Russell. And he said something about AA. He said, I used to speak at AA. I thought he said, I used to be a lecturer at AA. I didn't understand what he was saying. And I would look at this drunk and I go, you used to speak at AA? You're just as much a drunk as I am. But he mentioned AA. And I wonder if my father owning a liquor store ever mentioned AA. I wonder if he ever talked about AA. Also, the only stories about my father tells about the drunks is that Mr. He rather that we delivered the booze to Mr. DeFreitas because Mr. DeFreitas was a menace on the road, and to Mrs. Lohman, and these people are long gone, and they're from a little town, Averill Park, New York, and upstate New York that nobody here will know about, have heard of. Okay, that means one or two of you probably have, but uh, and but he would say that so and so, a terrible drunk, would come in and say, Harry, he'd stand in front of the counter. Harry, can I use it? I need to use your bathroom. Harry, can I use it? Never mind, because he had peed on the floor. So these were the stories that my father would tell about drunks. Um, but there I was drinking with Russell. He was talking about AA, and then I finally realized I can't even drink in the neighborhood. Russell and I would sit on the floor because you can't fall off the floor. We'd sit on the floor, and I ended up drinking at home. And the trick about drinking at home is you just have to remember, don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone because then they'll know. So I don't know. So it came around to spring of 1975. I was trying to lose weight at Weight Watchers. I was sitting there smoking in a Weight Watchers meeting, and somebody went, and I was like, you just want to say, shut up, bitch. Um, but I thought, oh, I should probably stop smoking. And so uh, I did. That's when I saw the whiteboard talking about AA. And a couple days later, went to maybe a week two. I don't know how long ago. Like it was like maybe day two, three. I went to that AA meeting and I identified and I started going to AA meetings. Um, the steps have been very important. And okay, so I'm May, June, July. August, September, October. So I guess I'm 50 years and 5.5 months sober. Who's the person who's been sober longest in this room? The person who got up earliest. That's what we say. So it's not like I'm 50 years sober and I'm this. Oh my God, we have things out here in LA. You probably have it other place too. Circuit speakers, people who are like popular speakers. They tell their stories and they are funny and people are laughing and they get those jokes in and they're invited from here to there to speak. And I'm like, I'm not one of those people. I don't give a flying. I hope we can swear in here. Do I see Patrick? Patrick, can we swear in here? Okay, good. Uh, like I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Um, so yes, again, I lost the plot. I lost the plot. But I guess I'm sober. Going to meetings. No, I was looking at the 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 board, and then I started going to meetings, and I loved them because I even said this at my in-person meeting last Friday. I said it's the best. Maybe it was last Sunday. I don't know. It's the best show in town because somebody was at our meeting on Sunday. No, Wednesday. That he said, I don't belong here. I'm not an alcoholic. I got a nudge from the judge. That's why I'm here. And there were only about 10 or 11 of us in the room, so it was round robin, and he was very uncomfortable. So we said to him, okay, that's fine. I said, now if you don't like sharing, we gave him advice. Go to speaker meetings because you don't have to share there. We're trying to tell him, he has to go 50 times or something like that because of his car accident or whatever. Maybe it was domestic violence. I don't know. Um, no, there's no pressure. But what happened to me when I got sober is that I walked into the room, and I think it may be true about all of us. I was scared. I was scared. Like, what is this place? Are they going to sign me up? Is this some kind of like cult or what is it? And people still say to me, AA is a cult. Like, no, it's not. We don't have a leader. You don't have to give any money. You can do what you like. Do what you like in here. It's not a cult. It's a cult, so it's not a cult. No, it's a pretty democratic little group of people. You know, I go to meetings in Los Angeles. I choose to go to secular meetings, agnostic. Uh, Secular meetings means agnostic, atheist, uh, free thinker. Am I an agnostic or atheist? No, I am not. But I love those meetings. They have a heart. They're funny, and many people in that room said that they would never get sober if they had to do the God thing. And I think that's very important to say in this meeting, is that the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. It's not a requirement that you get, um, that you believe in God and to a higher power. One of my sponsees was out in Colorado putting his dad in a assisted living. And he said, oh my God, he said, these evangelical meetings. He said, I can't go to any more of them. He said, and it's hard. It's really hard. There are people who would not get sober. If you believe in God, which I do, I mean, I pray, I meditate, I do spiritual writing every day. I go to church on Sunday. Really? You go to agnostic meetings, you go to church? Yeah, I do. It doesn't matter. But you don't have to believe anything to get sober. It's just some people were told in rehab, if you're not sober with God, you're not sober. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. The only requirement for membership is desire to stop drinking. Um, anyway, I think it's very important to say that I think we're looser than a lot of people like wanna it's like this, it's like this. It's like, no. And if I ever had a sponsor that was like this and like this, I wouldn't be sober today. I had a loving ear for 11 years, a loving ear. And when I walked into meetings back in the day, there were still people from the big book at my meetings. Marty Mann, that we often talk about. Marty Mann is Women Suffer Too in the big book. Women Suffer Too. And what was she? She was kind to me. I heard Lois Wilson speak once. I got sober 4 years after Bill Wilson died. Oh, you know what? There's something I want to read. And since I'm running out of time, let me do this quickly. Um, Uh, there's a meeting I go to on Monday, and we always start with this. Um, Only requirement is desire to stop drinking. But a few months before he died, Dr. Bob, the co-founder, Dr. Bob said this. There are two, or it's Dr. Bob's last message, and he died 3.5 months later in November of 1950. He said, and this is a little foreshortened, there are two or three things that flashed into my mind on which it would be fitting to lay a little emphasis. One is the simplicity of our program. Our 12 steps, when simmered down, resolve themselves into the words love and service. We understand what love is, and we understand what service is. So let's bear those two things in mind. Let us also remember to guard that erring member, the tongue. And if we must use it, let's use it with kindness and consideration and tolerance. And one more thing. None of us would be here today if somebody hadn't taken time to explain things to us, to give us a little pat on the back, to take us to a meeting or two, to have done numerous little kind and thoughtful acts in our behalf. So let us never get the degree of smug complacency so that we're not willing to extend or attempt to that help which has been so beneficial to us, to our less fortunate brothers. Thank you very much. That was his message. And I think I've run out of time. Let me just take a look at this. No, I have 27 seconds, according to me. Um, is that's what I want to do. I want to be the person in the room who's kind, who says, "How are you?" Remember their name. Hi, Bob. How are you doing today? Um, uh-huh. What else? Yeah, and to encourage them. That's all. That's my only job. Yeah, I stay sober. Yeah, I work the steps to the best of my ability. I'm a bit a lousy sponsor. Sponsored very few times in 50 years. People, stop. People who are professional sponsors bother me, but I'm just a regular, you know, just another bozo on the bus, as somebody said recently. I think it's my friend David who's in the room here from North Carolina. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much, Patrick, for asking me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Mary-Eileen. I was looking at the spin with our hearts. I got to get my heart up. There we go. Mary-Eileen, it's so great to hear you. I love what you bring to the rooms. Really, truly, it's just wonderful. So, we're gonna open it up for shares, and it's 3-minute shares. Okay, but we're gonna do a 3-minute meditation. Just we're gonna go quiet for 3 minutes, and then we'll be back. And maybe Wesley is going to put a little 3-minute timer in the screen, and then we'll be back in 3 minutes.